What's up, you guys? Welcome to Toughen Up with Des, your favorite fighters podcast. This is the space where hustlers and everyday warriors get real about what it takes to be tough in all parts of life. Let's talk about it so we can be about it. Today, we are going to be talking about pain. One of my favorite things to talk about, considering I am a Muay Thai fighter, and it is a very violent sport, and it includes a lot of pain. But today, we are going to talk about pain as a path to power. Normally, we hear the narrative or the story that people talk about their experiences in life and traumas in life and how they took pain and used it and turned it into power. Today, I want to shift the narrative a little bit because I believe that there is power in pain and why I will choose pain every single day of my life. So one question I want to ask, what do Oprah Winfrey and Malala Yousafzai and Nelson Mandela, these people, what do they all have in common? I'll tell you. All of these people have faced an immense amount of hardship. Oprah Winfrey, for example, overcame childhood abuse and poverty. Malala Yousafzai survived being shot for fighting for girls' education. Nelson Mandela, another great example, endured 27 years in prison, which is really crazy. But the key takeaway for all of these people and their stories is that they didn't just survive their pain. They used it to fuel their greatest accomplishments in life. And I do believe that this is the power of pain when embraced. It becomes the ultimate catalyst for transformation. Pain is everywhere. Every single person has a story of pain, how they've experienced pain and trauma in their life. Now, what they did with it after the fact is another story. I've realized now, after 34 years of age, have one child, 13 years old, I'm running 2 businesses, and a professional Muay Thai fighter. I've learned that pain can be a teacher, showing us that time is precious and we must act on our dreams now, not tomorrow, not in a week, not next year, but now. There's urgency to life, and I don't think a lot of people realize that how precious life is and to act on those dreams. And so here I'm going to give you a little push today with my storytelling to share some of the pain and personal traumas that I've gone to and how it's helped me transform my life. So why I choose pain? I'm going to tell you guys a little story about a motorcycle accident that I got into when I was 16 years old. It was an extremely painful experience that shaped the way that I behave today. In this story, I will share to you guys that there was a realization in some point in that journey that life can change in an instant. We don't know what tomorrow brings us. We don't know what God has in store for us, but it did give me a greater sense of urgency and purpose. And I understand that not every single person has an example like this on this extreme level, but I'm hoping that my story can share with you why I am the way I am today, and maybe you can internalize some of the things that I'm telling you and apply that to your own life. So when I was 16 years old, I was visiting California. My mom and my dad were divorced. I was living in St. Louis, Missouri. It was a very small town. And so I would come visit my mom in the Bay Area a couple times a year to hang out. It was a very different experience than growing up somewhere like St. Louis, Missouri, but it was exciting and it was new. And so one year it was spring break and I was visiting my mom and we had a big barbecue before we went home. The entire family came over. My mom cooked. It was a whole thing. And I was actually really excited to get home because I had tickets to a Nelly concert. And if you guys don't know, Nelly's from St. Louis and he's an icon in the Lou. So I was super excited I was going to take my best friend to this concert. Well, when we were at the barbecue, it was great. It was fun. There was lots of food. I was having a great time. And my aunt had brought her soon-to-be fiance, who was, I think, in law enforcement. And then he also rode motorbikes professionally, street bikes. So he had asked my sister and I if we wanted to go for a ride. And we had said yes. And I decided I'd be the first to get on the back of this bike. Now, just telling you guys in advance, my dad never let us on the back of a bike. He felt they were too dangerous, and he rode bikes for for a long time, his entire life, but never had warned me, don't you ever get on the back of the bike. And here I go, a 16-year-old girl not listening to her father, and decided, yes, let me get on the back of this bike with this complete stranger. We get on the back of the bike. I have my gear on, my jacket, everything like that, and we're going through the neighborhood, and we're about to end our ride. At my mom's house, there's this really long road that goes down. It's a declining street. We're going down, and he starts increasing speed pretty fast, and I'm holding on to him, and as we get to the straightaway, all of a sudden he starts veering in the left lane. And at the time I was like, oh, this guy's a professional. He knows exactly what he's doing. I don't need to be worried, until we started continuing to veer. And then I realized, oh my gosh, something's happening. There were two Yukons coming up the other side of the street, following each other. The first Yukon obviously had seen us because we were going head on towards them at a very fast speed. And so he speeds off to the right-hand side on this green grassy area to avoid the collision. However, his friend behind him unfortunately didn't see us, and we ended up going head on to this Yukon going 50-something plus miles an hour. And I remember every single moment leading up to that impact on that truck. It was crazy. I woke up from the collision to realize, oh my gosh, we got into an accident, something is very wrong. I took off my helmet, there's glass everywhere, the bike's on the road, and on to the right of me, I see my soon-to-be uncle laying there on the ground. At that moment, I freaked out. I threw off my helmet, I ran over to him to check on him and to lift up his visor and realize that this guy is no longer with us. And I saw him there lifeless, and it was the first time I'd ever seen a dead person like that right in front of me, and it was very scary. And I got up and I started screaming, I started yelling help and this and that, and I ran over to the guy in the truck, and I could see his face, just eyes like a deer in headlights staring at me. I ended up getting into his car, and he was like, it's okay, I called the ambulance already, they're on their way. His window's all broken and there's glass everywhere, and he's just looking at me kind of crazy. And I'm like, why is this guy staring at me like this? And I look down at my pants, and there's just blood all over my jeans. So I'm like, where is this blood coming from? I don't know where it is. I start freaking out. I pull the visor down, and my entire jaw is in the back. It had dislocated completely and been pushed back on my face. And then in addition to that, I had bit off my bottom lip, and I had a tooth that was shoved underneath my tongue. It was crazy to see that. Just sit there and imagine yourself like that, and you had to see it in person in a mirror. And after that happened, I immediately I think it was the adrenaline, it was something, but I passed out by seeing that. And next thing, I have the EMTs, I have the emergency personnel trying to pull me out of the truck and waking me up and saying, ma'am, wake up, trying to keep me awake, right, and conscious. And from there, they had to helicopter me out because my mom lived in a neighborhood that was pretty high up on the hill, and choppered me out to a local hospital. And so I broke my jaw in 6 different places. I had to have reconstructive surgery twice. They had to go in for a second time to re-break the jaw because it hadn't healed properly. And I had to go back home and face all of my peers, face all of the people that believed I'd lost an arm, believed I had died, believed I was paralyzed. There were so many things. And my dad had pushed me. He had pushed me really hard to actually go back to school. And at the time, I was probably 125, 130. I'm 5'2". After that accident, I was like 98 pounds. I was like a stick. It was really a lot on my body. I had a lot of body dysmorphia issues after the fact. I had a lot of things that I had to deal with as a result of this accident. But it took me many years to get out of that experience. Of course, you could think and imagine there was depression. I had started rebelling, and I was very angry, and there were so many things that came from the recovery of that accident that it was really challenging, and I almost didn't make it out. And I had lost my family, I had lost a lot of people, when in reality I probably just needed more love and support given the trauma that I had gone through. And it was just crazy. One day I woke up and I was so depressed and sad, and I was living a very toxic life around people that were not for me, did not support me, did not have my best interests. And I was sitting in the bathroom on the floor just crying. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I said out loud and I started praying and I was like, God, please help me. I don't want to do this anymore. And then something just sparked in me, you guys, and I just lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, I'm here for a reason. I'm here because God has allowed me to stay on this earth, and maybe there's something more to my life that I am supposed to do or to share. And from then on, I gave a promise to myself that I would never go back to that place. I would never go back to the depression, to the sadness, to the things that were really holding me back in my life. And I decided to slowly turn things around. So again, there was so much pain and negative things that came from that affected me in my life, and it brought me to a really dark place. But I learned that pain can be a teacher. It can be a teacher, and it can almost force you out of things that we've created as normalities in our life and how we live our life, the decisions that we make. It is the ultimate lesson that time is precious, and again, we have to act on our dreams now. That doesn't mean they're gonna happen overnight. That doesn't mean it's not gonna take 10 years. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be successful. But if we don't take the steps and the actions to act on our dreams today, we never know what life can bring for us. I could have stayed in that rut. I could have stayed doing drugs. I could have stayed partying and living a very toxic life, but I'm not. I had a son. I have a beautiful 13-year-old son that's happy and healthy, and I sit here today in front of you telling you my story. I'm a professional Muay Thai fighter. I have 2 US titles and 1 world title under my belt, and I'm competing at a very high level. I'm running 2 businesses. I've been in wealth management for 13 years now and have a successful practice and people around me that love me, and I live a very fulfilling life. And that journey to get here, everything is not perfect now, but the journey to get here has taught me so many things which originated from one single piece of pain that has changed my entire life. So the key message that I have for you and that I have learned is that pain can be a teacher. And every single occurrence that I have encountered pain, I've learned something in that process. And I don't think as people we embrace the opportunities to learn while we're experiencing pain. And quite frankly, we all need to be a little tougher. The world is not going to protect us. The world is not going to pay our bills. The world is not going to save us from our own troubles. We are the only ones that we are in competition with, and that is ourself. Ourself is the biggest struggle that we have in overcoming things and achieving our dreams. So it's a mindset shift that we have to encounter when we approach dealing with pain. Which leads me to my next concept, which is embracing pain. Acknowledging that the common belief is turning pain into power. And I'm here to stand in front of you today and say that there is absolute power in pain. You are more confident after you've experienced pain because there are lessons that have made you better as a human being. And there's a difference between avoiding pain and choosing to embrace it. So which one are you? Are you the person that's going to run from pain? Or are you the person that's going to stand in front of pain and say, I don't give a shit, I'm going to overcome whatever it is in front of me? The whole idea here is to avoid stagnation. Stagnation is what holds us back from achieving the things that we want to achieve. But embracing pain opens a new door and allows us to grow. If we are always resisting and pushing back pain and hiding and cowering and not dealing with pain in a positive way, then we're not getting anywhere in life. So for example, Bethany Hamilton, she lost her arm to a shark attack when she was 13, I think. And now she's come on to be one of the most profound surfers there are in the surf world. J.K. Rowling, for example, faced depression and rejection and used those struggles to create Harry Potter. She was almost on her last leg, but instead she took all of the lessons and all of the defeat and everything, rejection and all of the negativity, and she turned it into something beautiful. And I don't know about you guys, but I love Harry Potter. I could literally watch every single Harry Potter over every Saturday. So the key takeaway is pain is not an obstacle, right? Rejection and all of these things are not an obstacle, they're an opportunity. And if you change that mindset and tweak that mindset to how can I learn from this situation? How is this opportunity going to be beneficial for me? And what areas is maybe this pain trying to teach me? I guarantee you'll be way better off in that growth process than holding on to the negativity that comes inherently with pain. For example, the opportunity for me in that motorcycle accident was really to rewrite my entire life. The plans and the things that I had for myself to go to a D1 college, to cheer, to play soccer, to graduate from the same class, all of these things that didn't happen to me. It allowed me the platform to recreate and rewrite my story of how I wanted things to be. We all have this vision in our mind that our lives are supposed to go one way, and when they don't go one way, it can really be hurtful. But opportunities such as pain allow us those current opportunities to change things that we may not think that was an opportunity before, and now it is. So it leads me into reframing pain and reframing the mindset. Guys, listen, it's gonna suck. Pain sucks, yes, and it's gonna hurt. But honestly, choosing pain isn't easy. Yes, it's going to suck, but it has to be a choice. It is a choice. I want to explain to you guys that how pushing through discomfort leads to personal power. If you've accomplished something that's hard, or you've overcome something that's hard, I know that you can sit there today and say that you feel more powerful, more confident, more ready to take on the world, that you've overcome that obstacle in the past. So take a minute and reflect on some of the pain points that you've had in your life and really ask yourself, do I feel stronger because of this? Do I feel more knowledgeable? Do I feel better equipped to take on something similar like this because you've already experienced? The answer is probably yes. So it's more about reframing the pain. Viktor Frankl is another good example who used his Holocaust experience to inspire others to find meaning in suffering. So Viktor Frankl is another great example of how his experience with the Holocaust inspired people to find meaning in suffering, which is an entirely different thing, right? He used his experience to help others in the world of suffering. And the key message that we choose to embrace pain, we choose to become stronger. So just to recap, pain is a part of life. We're all going to experience pain on different levels, on different degrees of hurt. But choosing how we respond is where the power lies. Choosing to be positive during the storm is a choice. And my final thoughts about this is, so I want to encourage you guys to reflect on your own personal experiences and how they can turn them into opportunities for growth and transformation. And write it down if you need to. Reflect on how you were able to turn that, or if you could have turned that into opportunities for growth or transformation. Sometimes going back in reflection and looking at a scenario and saying, oh, I should have been where my feet are. I should have listened to the experience that I was going through, and maybe there was an opportunity that I missed because I was so overwhelmed with the amount of stress or pain that was coming from that situation that I wasn't able to embrace the growth opportunities that were involved in that. And my last final thought is that remember that pain is invaluable. No one can take away anything from your story or your experiences, no matter what they try to say. No one is better than you than the other person. It doesn't matter how much money, how much, clout that they have on Instagram. It doesn't matter. Pain has lessons that are intertwined with us. So yes, I'm a professional Muay Thai fighter. I understand pain. I get punched in the face every single day almost. It's a physical pain. There's physical pain, there's mental pain, there's all of these anguishes that are involved with every single day life that we have to go through. But it has taught me that pain is inevitable, but how we choose to use it, that is what defines us, my friend.